Hello, I have a reading for you, and um, in my mediumship studies, I learned that it's better to do the mediumship portion of the reading first because you have to be at a much higher level vibrationally, and it's easier to start high and then come lower for like a psychic reading. So that's what I did with this reading. So I spent a lot of time clearing my space, clearing my energy, raising my vibration so that I could connect. So when I felt like there was a spirit person there, I felt like it was a male. He was older. My impression was that he was balding, wore glasses. Um, I saw like a plaid shirt and overalls. I kind of felt like he was either a farmer or maybe worked in a car garage or something like that. Um, I did see chewing tobacco. I'm going to tell you all the things that I saw and like impressions that I had. And what I've learned is most often these things can be symbolic of something. They're not always literal. So kind of think about it in both what could it mean symbolically and what could it mean literally. So I also saw a vision of like um, people on a porch, like snapping green beans from a garden. Like you're going to be canning green beans or freezing them, and you're like sitting on the porch snapping green beans. Um, so I had like the impression of gardening, and this is where it gets difficult because we are friends and I know a little bit about you. So I know you have a garden. So um, that's where this kind of gets difficult. And this older man, I kept asking, I kept asking for evidence that it was either a father or a grandfather, and I never really got anything clear about that. So when I was seeing the vision of somebody snapping green beans like on a porch, I felt like there was an older woman there. And it almost reminded me of like a Mennonite or Amish type looking woman, older woman, because I felt like there was like a little bonnet, like hair covering, and like a long skirt or dress. So that's kind of what my vision was. And like I said, it could be symbolic. Um, and also, I've learned that spirits tend to use our own like experiences and things that we've seen or people that we know. They may use my memories to pass on some sort of message. So let me know if any of this makes sense, and maybe towards the end we can put it all together. So then I was seeing like tomatoes and canning. So that could be maybe you have been picking tomatoes out of your garden recently, or maybe you're thinking about doing some canning, or maybe this was a memory of something your parents did. Um, and then I got the visual of like a sun catcher in a window. And I felt like it was in the kitchen. And I felt like it could be a hummingbird. Um, and kind of the impression I was getting was that the sun catcher can like make rainbows appear in the room. And I felt like it was meant to be a reminder that this person that was coming through is with you. So like when you see the sun catcher creating a rainbow in the room, it's a reminder that they're with you. Um, and then I tried to get a personality. So at first, I got like kind of a grumpy, harumph kind of personality. But then I got the personality of someone that always seemed happy and smiling. And it reminded me of my dad. Um, so then I was kind of confused. Like, I don't know what the personality is because they seem like two very different personalities. Um, I did see a man like sitting in a lazy boy type of recliner or, you know, some kind of comfy chair reading a newspaper. So I don't know if that makes any sense. Um, and I went into this reading knowing what question you had about, you know, is there any possibilities of a man, a companion in my future? And so I was kind of asking whoever the spirit person was, like, I felt like it was your dad, but I'm just not certain. And I felt like um, he was saying, well, there's nobody good enough for you, kind of thing. And I also felt like he was saying, when you're dating or, looking um, for somebody to be interested in, to not judge a book by its cover. That's a phrase I was hearing. And to just be open to possibilities with relationships. So maybe in the past you would be really picky or judgmental or I don't know. I feel like he was saying, be open, like don't close off a possibility right away, kind of thing. So let me know if that makes sense to you. Um, and I always get foods. I don't know why. I so often will get foods. So I feel like there was something about caramel. So I don't know if he liked caramel or you've been doing something with caramel lately, but anything caramel, like with candy or on ice cream, something like that. And then I had the feeling of something to do with woodworking. And I felt like I saw like a stack of lumber, like 4x4s. So I don't know if he was a woodworker, like to work with wood, or maybe you have been doing something with wood and 4x4s. Um, then I was seeing like a wooded area, like trees, um, like a forest or woods, and a memory was brought to my mind of, I don't know if you where you live, you have vines that hang from trees and they can get really thick as like they start really thick in the ground and they get thinner as they wind up the tree. And the memory that was brought to my mind was when I was a kid, my cousin would cut the bottom of the vine from the ground with a machete and we would swing on them. So I don't know if that means anything to you, but that was a memory that came to me, and maybe they brought that memory for a reason. Um, then I saw like a red outbuilding, kind of like a tool shed, or not as big as a barn, but maybe big enough to hold like a riding lawnmower kind of thing. Um, so I don't know if that means anything to you. And then I saw eyebrows like going up and down. It didn't make any sense to me, but it stood out. Um, and then I saw root beer, and then I saw like a long dirt road with like fields on both sides. Like the sun was shining. I felt like it was a summer day. And then I remembered you said you were going to a picnic. And I wondered if there's a possibility of meeting a guy there. And then two names came to me, Dan and Robert. So I don't know if that means anything to you. So I'll be curious to hear from you if any of this makes sense. It's kind of hard when you're not here with me, and I think I need to start practicing with the sitter being present and just get more comfortable with that. So now I'm going to talk about the cards that I pulled for you. And the first one I pulled was, and this is a new deck I'm working with, and it's all about astrology. So the first card I pulled was called Taurus, and it says, I cultivate and nourish my self-worth. So here's what it looks like. I really like this card because I love deer, and I've been seeing deer lately and I just love them. So I thought it was cool that that came up. So the feeling that I was getting about this card was that you are attracting to yourself what you think you deserve and what you are worth having. So this card is about, cultivating and nourishing your self-worth. So my feeling was like if you are not feeling worthy, um, that that's kind of what you're attracting to yourself. So if these men that you're having relationships with, you're not, it's not exactly what you want, that it may have something to do with your own self-worth and how worthy you feel yourself, that you deserve the right man. So maybe you are attracting that to yourself. So I'm going to read what the card says. The key words with Taurus are endurance, vitality, stamina, patience, beauty, stability, and grounding. And the affirmation is what I already said on the card. I cultivate and nourish my self-worth. So that's the affirmation that you should say. Um, and then the message, I'm just going to read this right from the book. With effortless grace, the deer enjoys her grounding oasis where she can relax and rejuvenate. Taurus is a sign that deals with money, nature, and beauty. It is the fixed sign of spring when everything is turning green and sprouting, the first flowers of the year, the time of setting up the secure foundation for everything else to come and grow later in the year. So that stood out to me about building a foundation for things to grow later. So to me, that's saying you may need to build a better foundation of, self-worth, self-love, um, self-care, self-loving actions to build a foundation. Because if you aren't truly loving yourself and feeling you are worthy, if that's a shaky foundation, then it's hard for anything to grow in that. So think about that. And then the next thing it says is the Taurus card encourages you to slow down and indulge your senses. This sensual sign knows that everything has its own time and season, so life is best enjoyed in the moment. There is no need to rush or hurry, and slow and steady progress wins the day in the end. So then the last part of the message is it says, our society urges us to rush ahead and accomplish everything all at once. But in reality, we're in a much bigger cycle than we can imagine, with several moving parts we aren't even aware of. Taurus energy reminds you that moving at your own pace is a divine act of self care. So, what that's telling me is, the universe can have something going on behind the scenes, underneath the surface. As you develop uh, and nourish your self worth and work on, self love and self care. While you're working on that foundation, the universe, God, is behind the scenes, you know, bringing a companion to you that will be exactly what you need and want. So that was that card. The next card I got was the Scorpio, and it says, I embrace transformation. So this is what that card looks like. So that's a phoenix. Very cool. So the key words about this card are inner landscape, emotions, introspection, and the root of things. And the affirmation is, I embrace my shadow. But first, before I read the book, I'm going to give you the impressions that I got from the card. So I feel like, this card came up next because, the first card was talking about cultivating and nourishing your self worth. So I feel like once you have cultivated and nourished your own self worth through self loving actions, I felt like you can't attract the right companion until you fully and completely love and accept yourself. So, ask yourself in meditation, what parts of me am I not accepting? What parts don't I like? Um, and kind of do an exercise where you look in the mirror, and you could do the Ho'oponopono prayer. I think you already know what that is because we've talked about it. Do that Ho'oponopono prayer for yourself, you know, and to yourself. So, and ask yourself, where have you not forgiven yourself? What areas of your life still need healing? And it would be a really good idea to journal about this. So, like, meditate on those questions and journal about it. Um, so, what the book says about this card, it says Scorpio brings intense energy that can manifest in jealousy and obsession. This sign rules everything dealing with sexuality, power, letting go, and the mystical. Able to walk between worlds with ease, Scorpio isn't afraid of venturing into the darkness and facing its own shadow. Scorpio has the gift of transformation and rebirth, much like the fabled phoenix. The Scorpio card appears when the universe urges you to turn within and integrate your own shadow to heal and move closer to your higher self. Healing here does not mean getting rid of or hiding away, but instead recognizing and honoring all the parts of you. And then the last part asks some questions. How do you interact with the darker parts of yourself, like anger, jealousy, and depression? Do you ignore or push those aspects of yourself away? Or do you get to know and understand them? This is a good time for some deep introspective work, whether alone or with a professional, to guide you as you uncover more about your hidden desires and motivations. So, yeah, I feel like this card is coming up because maybe there is some more healing that work that you need to do. Um, some really, deep wounds that haven't been looked at yet. Maybe some forgiveness work that you need to do with yourself. Um, about some really deep seated issues that maybe you've just kind of tried to ignore, or you thought you dealt with them, but maybe you really didn't. So, like I said before, I would meditate on those questions of, where have you not forgiven yourself? What areas of your life still need healing? Like meditate on those questions and journal about them and see what comes up. So then the last card I got was the Venus card, and it says, I reflect my worth and my values. So here is coming up worth again. So this is very interesting. This is what the card looks like. So it's a beautiful swan. And so the impressions I got with this card was, um, if your self-worth is low, then what you value will be low. So it comes back to you not feeling worthy of the kind of man that you want in a companion. And why, my question was, why do you feel unworthy? Like, do you feel broken or abnormal or too different from other people? Um, and if you feel that way, uh, then you wouldn't be worthy of a companion who can like you and like you for who you are and be that mutual companion and helper in your life. So I was asking questions like, how much do you love and accept yourself? Where, again, it's coming up, where have you not forgiven yourself? So I keep coming back to this theme. And then I was getting thoughts about maybe you first need to learn uh, to be happy just with yourself and being alone, because you are all you really need. Um, and that you must cultivate happiness, on your own, contentment by yourself, and not having to depend on a man to give you that. However, I understand, the aspect of loneliness and wanting someone to share your life with. And that's not wrong or abnormal to feel that way. But I think it kind of comes down to looking at how you manifest things into your reality, and that it might be a good idea to write down what you deeply desire, and be very specific and detailed. Spend time in meditation every day, at least 10 minutes, and visualize the reality that you want, and actually read what you wrote, read that detailed description of how you want your life to be. So I'm going to read what the book says about this card, Venus with the swan. The keywords are love, money, relationships, desire, your heart, values, connection, and the arts. And the affirmation is, I reflect my worth and my values. And the message is, Venus shows us what matters to the heart, along with where we want to invest our time, love, money, and energy. The planet of love and beauty wants us to connect through our emotions to develop deep, nurturing relationships with ourselves, others, and anything we hold dear. Venus also shows us where we draw a line in the sand and hold our boundaries. What we let in our space is just as important as what we share with others. Our spaces and the objects and people we surround ourselves with are a mirror that reflects our values to us. Be sure to acknowledge your true worth and let your world shine. The Venus card illuminates what we covet the most, what we'll fight tooth and nail for, and what lights up our hearts with joy. The question Venus asks is, at the end of the day, what matters most to you? So here is some more questions. What do you value? Is the way you spend your time and money reflecting your values? Are you doing what you want or what you think others want you to do? So, so I think once again, this is bringing up um, your worth, like what you think your worth is, um, thinking about what you value and being very conscious of what you allow into your space. But I feel like the overarching theme of this reading is just all about self-worth, forgiveness, forgiving yourself for whatever deep seated issues you may have that you still haven't forgiven yourself about. Um, so I feel like this is the overarching theme of the card reading. And I also did a crystal healing and Reiki healing, and I checked all your chakras. I was getting some stuck energy or blockages around your sacral chakra, your heart chakra, the third eye, and the crown chakra. So I did, and I'll send you pictures, crystal healing with a proxy chakra body. Um, so I placed crystals on those chakras. I did, you know, the healing session. I did Reiki. So let me know if that resonates for you with those chakras being blocked. Um, so, the crown has to do with your connection to God, to the divine. Um, third eye, it has to do with, just your clairvoyance and your psychic abilities. The heart chakra, you know, that can have to do with the self-love aspect and unforgiveness. And then the sacral can have to do with creativity and relationships and your connections to others. So just think about that, and hopefully the crystal healing and Reiki that I did just cleared those up for you. I used my pendulum and it said that they were all clear when I was done. So let me know what your impressions are, if any of this resonates, and I look forward to talking to you soon. So thank you and have a good day. Bye bye.